Okay, today is November 30th, 2023. This is a special called meeting of Coffee County, Tennessee's Capital Outlay Committee. It's special called to deal with one item. The agenda we have only 3 members of 5. A little disappointed in the attendance, but we do have a quorum. The agenda is one item. I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Jimmy Hollingsworth, seconded by Commissioner Tim Brown to approve the agenda, which is the selection of animal control facility architectural and design firm. All those in favor by aye. Aye. Those opposed, agenda has been approved. I don't think we have minutes to approve tonight from the last meeting, so move right on to, is there anybody who wants to speak to this item on the agenda? Public comment right now. There being none, we have before us, Stephanie confirmed this 2 proposals.
Yes, sir. We had two return.
Okay, before we have a motion on either one of the 2 firms, I would like for, Stephanie's pretty well versed in this process, and I'd like for her to sort of summarize what she's able to obtain from the 2 proposals.
So I had 2 respondents. One was St. John. The other is 342 Architect. Qualifications, I feel like they're both sound. There were certain criteria that they had to meet. They did send out. Some of those things might be a little bit different. I've asked them to kind of give us little resumes of those that work for the firm or that will be working with us close hand if selected. They've given examples of stuff that they've worked on. Although an RFQ doesn't really talk about money, it's mostly just their qualifications, so we're really not basing on money, or we don't have to select based on money. That conversation can happen later. If we can't come to an agreement, then we can either resolicit or we can go to another firm if we so choose that did respond. I did send out copies via email to everybody for them to be able to look at this beforehand, so they would know what each respondent has, but everyone has returned the required documents for them to be considered at this time. Anybody have any?
I'm going to invite each one of the respondents to make comment to this committee, going in alphabetical order. Aaron Brown can speak first, if you don't mind, if you'd like to come up here and hawk your wares.
Do that, sir.
That one's already hot right there.
Excellent. Testing.
And we may interrupt him at any time to clarify a statement or ask a question.
Absolutely.
Feel free to.
So what do you want me to start?
Do you want a copy of yours?
that'd be
You-
great.
I mean,
You just want me to walk you through it, or? what-
Yeah, summarize. I mean, we
Okay.
have the document in front of us.
Understood,
but,
understood. Okay, so the first part is a proposal. It kind of gives a rough idea of design fees associated with our design team completing the project. It's pretty rough at this point because there wasn't a lot of information as far as, specific information, what we're looking for the facility, included in an RFQ. So that's obviously, we'll readdress that, if selected, obviously. and try to hone that price down as we learn more about the facility. That's the first kind of little packet there. The next packet, is just kind of letter of interest, you know, expressing, you know, our background in community service. You know, just trying to be a good steward for Coffee County and trying to help out where possible. We feel like this is an opportunity where our strengths could be well suited, if so chosen. Moving into the next one, you get into the firm profile for 342 Architects. There you'll go through, again, you know, talking about the focus of the firm. Then you've got some kind of staff, I guess, bios, like some real short synopsis bios there. Then examples of work. And then in the back of that, you'll have a couple of professional references there. Got more available, obviously, if necessary. Those are just some recent ones. Next page, you will see the firm profile for T-Square Engineering. So our team plans to use for civil, if so chosen, civil and landscape. Again, bios for the kind of key folks there, some relevant project experience, and then just a little bit about their survey and drone services there in the back. Moving into the next packet, we've got the firm profile for ELM Structural down out of Huntsville, Alabama. That's, again, who our firm would intend to use for structural, if so selected. First page, again, just kind of a firm bio there. Then moving into key players and their bios and additional experiences there. I think that summarizes that one. Next packet, we've got well, my fingers would work, I apologize. The firm breakdown for Inside Engineering out of Franklin. Again, that's who we would propose to use for MP&E if so chosen. First page, again, just kind of talking about the firm and the leadership there, some of their experiences, their personal experiences, and then moving into representative projects. Pretty extensive list there on that. And then moving through to the back, this is where we start to get into the Addendum 1 acknowledgement, and then Certificate of Insurance and Liability. I mean, I'm more than happy to dive in depth on anything you guys have questions on, but
I got a question. I mean, it looks pretty obvious. You're gonna have to collaborate with several firms
yes, sir.
to make this happen.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And
So
none of them are located in Coffee County.
that is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than architectural services, that's the only one located in Coffee County. Like I said, structural would be coming out of Huntsville, Alabama. Got a great working relationship with those guys. Produce great quality work for me. Use them quite often. T-Squared, the civil would be coming out of Franklin. Again, great working relationship with those guys. Do fine work. I trust them. Mechanical, plumbing, electrical will be coming from Insight out of Franklin as well. Again, great working relationship with those guys. Just kind of built those relationships over years of different projects and just kind of keep moving on them. But yes, we would have to outsource civil, structural, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, fire protection if so.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm only gonna bring up cost because it's on here, okay? Does this cost, are we gonna have other cost from who you collaborate with?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No. That would be, now, reimbursable expenses possibly.
Okay.
You know, if they had to do some printing or something like that, if they have to make special trips to the site outside of, you know, what we've agreed on,
Okay,
possibly. But no, that should be,
covers everybody?
yeah, that
Okay.
should be the design team.
And then your total design fee is 6.2% of the total construction cost.
At this time, yes, that is correct, Mr. Hollingsworth. You know, like I said, there wasn't a ton of specific information in there about the proposed facility, so, you know, like I said, we'd be happy to to revisit that once we kind of got a little more information on it. Just wanted to kind of give you an idea. Now, that did include survey services, topo, boundary, such as that.
So just to clarify, you're open to negotiation of that percentage once we kind of narrow in what we're doing? And some things might come off, as you know, we kind of had to do some surveying.
Exactly.
And things like that, just to kind of get the property to where it is.
Sure, understood.
So we've kind of done that on the forefront, not that we not need additional.
Sure.
I'm not gonna
No.
pretend to be an expert in this area, so I'm gonna lean on capital outlay here a little bit,
No,
and professionals.
Absolutely,
Okay.
we would be happy to revisit that. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of specific information in there, but we would be happy to look at what you guys have in hand, and then adjust our fee accordingly, based on the work we won't have to do, we may have to do additional work, I don't know. I know I think what was it, the tier one, I think, is in progress now, so, you know, obviously,
Yeah.
the results of that could skew that. But
And you've talked with these, your structural engineers, and you brought this project up to them, and they can get on this and be available within a reasonable time frame?
Yes, sir, yeah, I mean, you know, like everybody there in the design and construction industry, everybody's busy right now. It's a good market right now. But yes, you know, I think, if chosen, I think the next conversation would be, you know, let's sit down, look at schedule, let's start mapping out milestones, and let's try to come up with a reasonable time frame that works for both parties. But yes, everybody's committed, everybody's interested, got some relevant experience, so, yeah.
Do you have any experience with like any federal funding or using that, or, and any of your other projects? And I'll,
Not specifically
Okay.
federal funding, not to my knowledge, ma'am. I'd have to go back through the,
You know, we are using ARP funds.
yes, sir.
A third of the projected cost is that, and that subject was brought up during our architectural firm selection for our new health department, that it requires certain specific pre-qualifications for this. Have you met that?
I have yet to be able to find any kind of pre-qualifications for that, sir. Not saying they don't
Okay.
exist, but I have yet to be able to find them.
You have, okay,
They may exist, and if they do, then the answer is no.
okay.
But I haven't found any kind of ARP-specific prerequisites. Again, not saying they don't exist, but
I know, like, you can't have disbarment, which I don't think that
Correct.
you do.
no, ma'am.
And then you would have to have a SAM's, unique identifier.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and those are the main two. The rest of the prerequisites were mostly for us on our end. Did we solicit the right way? Did we reach out? And I did, send those out on the GoDBE website, which is basically their biggest thing. Or are you reaching out to smaller or disenfranchised businesses?
So that is, if I'm hearing right, is a non-issue
What?
for the architectural firm to be
No, as long as they're not on the disbarment list, and of course, we would check that, you know, after we look at a award. They'll have to supply us with those items, and then we just, you know, have them on, in our file, so that when they do come back to audit us, we'll
You've
have
got
them.
all your bases
Yes, sir.
covered. So I know there was some specific insurance requirements on there. I do think there were some additional insurance requirements that were in the RFQ that we don't have at the moment. As a small business, it's hard to justify going out and purchasing additional specific insurance for this project without some sort of
As long as,
commitment to
as
award,
long as
right?
upon award, you're allowed to, as long as upon award,
We show you proof of it.
Yes,
Oh, understood.
before project starts.
Understood, absolutely, and that
By
would be
me-
our full intent.
What was that? What's the
The,
specific requirement?
over like 250,000, like right now we require like $1 million. Some will require you to move up to 2 million, for the project that we're doing. Just because you're using federal funds, they'll have to have certain bonds to cover, that they're gonna pay anybody they subcontract to, and that kind of trickles down to them. But yes, they are gonna have to probably add stuff to insurance. Being a smaller firm, they might not necessarily have that stuff. So we will have to, if they are awarded, then we'd have to look at their insurance. They would have to show us proof before they
Move forward.
move forward with anything, any kind of actual design or build.
Aaron, I've got another question for you. Have you worked with Inside Engineering out of Franklin? Have y'all worked with them before?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, working on numerous projects with them currently. Yes, I've worked with, everyone on the design team, the proposed design team. Like I said, it's kind of one of those things, you start working with people and they do good work, and you can kind of continue to work with those people, right? Not saying that we don't branch out, we absolutely do, but we've got a pretty solid core team.
They got a pretty impressive resume.
They do. They're also a smaller firm out of Franklin there, but they have quite the resume and quite a varied experience.
The certificate of insurance you provided expires March of 2024. You don't foresee any problems in getting your insurance renewed
No, sir.
at this point?
No, sir.
Y'all got any more questions?
I have no more further questions. Tim, you got any?
Thank you, Aaron.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for your consideration.
Mr. Scott St. John, you want to come speak to us pretty please?
Sure, thank you. Stephanie, if you have one handy, I'll
I do.
take that. I did not bring one. I mainly wanted to kind of address a section in the document, part 4, the project approach, that outlines our involvement with this project for the last couple of years. Under the previous county mayor, we worked on the site evaluation report, prepared a report that evaluated multiple sites across the county, and honed in on the current site. We've worked with the current mayor and the purchasing department here with the Kennedy surveying related to looking at splitting the property off, getting a site size that would work. We've also evaluated, put on a drawing, the TDOT. We're working with the city of Manchester related to water and sewer relocations on the highway widening project. And so we have the TDOT plans we've evaluated, dropped in where the TDOT acquisition line would be on this property, and have worked closely to date on one round of floor plan revision or floor plan layout of the facility, and working with the current animal control office. We have merged that with a survey and been working with the site. So, all of this was preliminary type work on the front end, but we have been directly involved in the project and the site to date. We have also a lot of gone through on the ARP funding. We are working with a number of cities and counties on ARP projects. We have the pre-qualifications, the SAMS requirements that have to be in place on the pre-qualifications. We have worked through on contracts with other cities and counties on the required special conditions that are outlined and placed into the contract, and so we've already been approved at a number of cities and counties for ARPA projects, and have kind of put our contracts together to meet those federal requirements. Insurance requirements, we currently carry insurance errors and omissions, general liability, those that are needed in the limits that are needed for the project. So we're pretty well up to speed on the ARP side as well. Kind of moving into our team, we have been before in front of you on the health department, and our team is Hearth Architecture, who is here in Coffee County, Josh Thompson, Stacy Slaybaugh, who have been here with me before. They're the architects that have actually worked on the preliminary floor plan that we have to date in place. We have put together, they have put together the renderings to date on the facility, which again, we know is preliminary and it will get developed along the process, but we have a good start with our involvement over the last couple of years. So that's architectural, civil, structural, environmental would be through St. John Engineering. We have surveying services, but again, the county's already been working with Kennedy, and we have worked closely with them along the way. MP&E, we are using a group out of Warren County that we've done a lot of work with, and Ken Roberts and his group, and they're a great group. They're very well experienced. We've done a lot of industrial work with them on their HVAC and the requirements, the ventilation requirements that are necessary for an animal control facility. We did design the Tullahoma Animal Control Facility back several years ago. That's outlined in the document here. And a lot of other type facilities that are similar, but that is the project that shines, that shows our experience and a lot of the technical requirements that are needed in this type of facility. We have been through those evaluations, reviews, and feel like we can bring that experience to the table. So I'll kind of pause there, and if there are any specific questions, be glad to answer.
I'm sure you got a good answer for this, but the certificate of insurance that you've provided expires December of this year. Once again, you don't see any problem in renewing?
No,
So-
it is probably renewed at this point, and we can update that, but they generally don't issue the seal, the certificates of insurance until the new policy.
Yeah,
comes out.
the policies are 11/2/23, 12/3/23, 11/2/23. General aggregate, we see on the other responders, certificate of insurance, general aggregate of 2 million, and you have general aggregate of 1 million. Stephanie, is there a minimum requirement on a project like this regarding?
I'll have to go through and look at
General.
every line. I know the county, our requirement is 1 million.
Yeah,
But I'm sure if, again, just like we would for Aaron's firm, if we needed to make adjustments upon award, then we would just allow them to have the time to make the adjustments.
well, I know insurance is a phone call away. I mean, if you
Yeah, I
need to
know.
double it, you're one phone call.
Yeah,
That's
use,
not a biggie, so.
Yeah, that's the important,
check,
that's the more important
Do I
part.
now?
And a
Oh,
and a
yeah,
payment,
yeah, it's
yes.
gotta be paid for.
Yeah, we have a local agent, and that's who we use, and it is the general coverage, the errors and omissions, same thing, but it is typically not out of Coffee County.
Yeah.
Scott, can you discuss your fees, what your fees are gonna be on this?
So we have already done a significant amount of work related to the facility, the floor plan, and so, a lot of that has been already billed and paid under preliminary type work. So that would come to a savings for the remainder of the work, and we would just have to work and can provide a proposed fee. Our fee is many times not based on percentage of construction. We can base this on a lump sum because we have already been compensated for some parts of the work. So, you know, we'll work together. If you need it on a percentage of construction to compare apples to apples there, then we can do that. But
What, just kind of in the ballpark, like a percentage of
I
total
would like to
construction.
remind everybody, we're not supposed to be making this decision based upon money.
It is not,
Correct?
it's just qualifications.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you
I
can,
don't-
you can
I just want to be sure
discuss,
everybody's clear.
you can discuss it when you get
that
down
point.
to awarding time if you want to discuss, and you cannot come to an agreement. It allows us to back up and try to either renegotiate or resend out solicitations to try to award again.
yeah, and I wanted to say, I heard the previous percentage from the other firm, and so I don't really want to get into talking numbers. Out of fairness to them.
I'm personally really uncomfortable making this decision with 3 members of a 5-member committee. I really, really wish we had all 5 members here. I think it's important. I don't understand why people can't show up for committee meetings if they've been selected to serve on these committees. But that's just, I just wanted to throw that out. Also, it's sort of in the spirit of spreading the wealth and trying to get new people on board and everything. One of these proposals actually puts a lot of our tax dollars in other counties, and that can't go unnoticed, you know. One responded, I think most of the money would stay in Coffee County. And one of them has done substantial work. That's not our fault. We didn't order this preliminary work. That was done by, I feel like, executive position prior to us. But nonetheless, I think it needs to be taken into consideration. But enough from the chairman. We have 2 members here, so.
Yeah, Scott, like the question I asked Aaron, how about how's the availability of the other companies you're working with? Are they going to be available, and can they get this done on a prompt schedule, or?
They can. This team, we're working on other projects together, and, you know, we've got a good jump on work, especially on the architectural side at this point. The mechanical, plumbing, electrical folks they're probably looking for work harder than some of the other disciplines here, and so they're ready to go on it. So yes, I mean, our availability would be immediately on it. We have a sizable staff here, and so we're able to utilize people within our company to spread that work around.
Mayor, I would invite some comment from Mayor Matheny if he wishes to.
Well, first off, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for calling this meeting to make this happen. Appreciate Stephanie, all the work you've done, and both respondents. I think both gave great presentations. I will say I'm satisfied with all the work that's been done to date and the responses that we've had on that work done to date. And I'll leave it at that.
I would just like to say, I know this is not an easy decision, and as purchasing agent, I'm grateful that the mayor has stepped up and you all have stepped up to help me kind of make this award without it just leaning solely on me or the mayor. It is a hard choice.
I will entertain a motion for selection of either one of these firms. I would also entertain a motion to postpone this until we get 100% member participation, which would mean a midweek special call next week, if you guys think that's appropriate. But as chairman, I never make motions.
Tim, you got any insight on this?
Yeah, but I don't know if I should say it in the meeting. Well, I'll say it. I've known Scott a long time, and the only thing I'm worried about, Scott, is you being so covered up that you can't maybe fulfill everything you need to. That's the only worry I've got, because you're covered up.
You on spot, respond?
It just, of course, as the previous company stated, we're all busy at this point. They're busy, the subs are busy, there's, a lot of work, even though the economy, our phones have slowed down some, but they're still ringing. We do have work, but, we've got a staff of 15. We're able to turn out a lot of work. We've got a good jump on this project. I will say one thing, that if you have a concern with any of our subs, such as our architect, and if we need to consider at your request a different architect, then we would be glad to do that. There's no doubt we have direct control over our civil, structural, environmental, and survey work. But yes, the architects that, we team with a lot, if you feel they are overloaded, that we would be glad to, if that is what you're looking for, be glad to consider any other local architects to assist. But currently, yeah, we're able to do the work just like the others, but we're open to, if you have concerns of anyone on our staff or team members of our staff.
That's all. Well, and ask the same for Aaron.
Yes, like I said earlier, we are busy. We are a smaller firm. I won't, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't wanna blow smoke. We are a smaller firm. We are busy. Everybody's busy. Like I said earlier, we're committed, if chosen, we're committed to the project, right? But like I said, I think the next step of whatever firm you guys choose is start looking at realistic timeframes and realistic scope. With Scott doing all the preliminary work and Harth doing all the preliminary work and being so involved with it up front, in my mind, as a taxpayer, that's a leg up, right? Because the county's already paid him, he's already got his head into the project, his team's already got their head into the project. Not saying that I'm not interested in the project, I am, absolutely, that's why I'm here, right? But I do think that preliminary work up front gives them a little bit of a leg up on anybody else. I mean, I'm sure Scott's willing to share, if you guys chose a different firm, I'm sure Scott would be willing to share that preliminary work. But, still, there's gonna be a time frame. It's a learning curve, right? Let's say I got the documents from Scott today, it's gonna take some time to get up to speed with those design decisions that were made, the assumptions that were made early, and why they were made, and could we make them a different direction to have a better benefit? It's kind of the process. With that preliminary work, I do think that is a leg up as far as expediting the time frame. But you know, not trying to talk myself out of a job, but.
Well, we appreciate you being so
Yeah.
candid and.
I mean, that, again, I'm here to help. I want to help my community, right? You know, that's kind of our focus at 342 is the community. You know, we're here to help. We're happy to do anything we can. And, you know, like I said before, we're not gonna win them all. Scott's
Yeah.
not gonna win them all. Nobody's going to. That's business, right?
Well, that shows great integrity that you're willing to make that statement. We do
I will
appreciate
step
that.
in and say when he dropped off, he said he just wanted to be known. Because if we don't know your interest, or there's no way for me to know every firm. I mean, I can go out and pull miles of architect and engineering firms off the state, and the county's normal or has been, and Rick can attest, I can send out to as many people as I want, and sometimes I've gotten no response.
Sure.
And I have to pour money into it again. I think people probably think, oh, there's no way people don't respond, but it is true. Just to this, I got 2. You think people would be coming out of the woodwork for stuff, but they're not. So, I will say that he just said, you know, Ms. Bush, I want you to know that I'm here, and I will. When I tell people I keep them, I do keep them. I do continue to reach out. So, I'm glad that you did come forward and show interest in the county, because some do not.
Yeah, like I said, I've lived here my whole life, so I don't intend on leaving, so I promise you'll see me more.
We appreciate you.
I'd just like to say, Aaron, I appreciate you putting in for this job, and Scott, you do a great job. You've done a
Thank
lot
you,
of
Aaron.
leg
Big
work
time.
on this stuff.
Appreciate you.
But at the same time, Scott, I know you're busy, and I know you do a lot of the work, and you know, Aaron's got to get started somewhere, you know, and sometimes, you know, sometimes I think you got to look at it. Sometimes you got to like spread the wealth around a little bit, and it looks good to the public when they see that, I think. But with all this being said, I'm kind of on the same page with Dennis. I hate to make a decision with 2 other people not being here. I feel like there's like gonna be an asterisk beside it
Yeah.
if you do that. So
As a reminder, this would take unanimous decision. We just barely have a quorum, so all 3 of us got to vote the same on whatever you move. It takes 3 out of the 5 to make a decision, and only 3 of us are here, so.
I just think with all that being said, I want to make a motion that we reschedule this till we have a full committee to make that decision.
I don't second them either.
Well, I've known Scott a long time, probably more years than Aaron's been born, and I've worked with Scott. He does a great job. We've remodeled houses together and done a lot together. I guess you're looking for a second, right?
You can either second his, or his motion can die for lack of a second, and you can make your own motion.
Well, it's obvious we're not gonna get the votes. We're not gonna be together, I know that.
I don't.
I do.
Okay.
And I would like to say, Aaron, get some work. Give him a chance, and if he screws
We're
up.
gonna have projects coming down the pipe that I feel like he's gonna get in at ground level, not in the middle of it. You know, he'll have that opportunity, hopefully, if he's
I
not
concur.
chosen for this one, so.
I'll second Jimmy's
Okay,
motion.
we got a motion on the floor to postpone. I would like the motion to be amended to set the date for postponement.
Well, we're going to have to look at midweek next. Can we do midweek next week?
Tuesday,
Be fine. The 5th, December 5th.
yes.
Yep.
And are we sure everybody's gonna get a message this time?
Yeah, well, we'll,
A phone call or something, because I didn't get nothing.
You certainly have an email.
I just checked them just now. I've got no email.
Are you checking your coffeecountytennessee.gov?
Mr. Chairman, I gotta be somewhere at 5. I've got to excuse
You're
myself.
excused.
I'm sorry. I appreciate
Thanks
the
for
work.
being here.
Let me know. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
A lot of times you can look at that county schedule board, and it's all it's gonna be on there. Of course,
And the calendar. Okay, we got a motion on the floor to postpone to, December 5. Is that correct? With a
Correct.
second. Any more discussion?
will that be a 4 o'clock or a 5 o'clock?
We'll do a 4 o'clock like we always do.
I've
Unless
got-
somebody has a
I've got something to say.
discussion. Sure.
Aaron's last name's the same as mine. I just want to make it clear that I'm not related to him.
We all thought he was your son. He'd been saying daddy everything.
Not that I don't want to be associated with you.
Thank you for that. All right, the motion to postpone until December 5 at 4 p.m. All those in favor by aye. Aye. Those opposed. All right, Rick, right quick, if you,
Just do it till, we'll just wait till everybody gets here. Next time, I'll just.
it's okay,
bring it
that's
all
fine.
up.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Those in favor by aye. Aye. Thank you.